Hi, we do have the AMI with Docker Enterprise Engine installed. Now let us go ahead and start an instance with the AMI. We can verify the AMI is available within the EC2 instance within the AWS console over here. This is the image that we had created. I can start from here, or otherwise I can get into the instances, launch instance, and within my AMI, I will be having the AMI that we had created and select the AMI. It's going to ask for the instance type that we wanted. Let me go ahead with T2 large so that I will have 8 GB of RAM, and I'm going to request one instance now. And as we had created the AMI with 40 GB, by default it's going to show 40 GB storage. Let me add tag to it. I'm going to use this instance as a master, as well as I will be installing the universal control plane. Let me name this as a master. We get into the security groups, and within security group, let me select the existing security group, Docker EE. Let me review the details and launch. And I'm going to use the same key that I had used earlier, or otherwise in case if I wanted, I can go ahead and create a dedicated key for this particular cluster. Now the instance should be up and running within few minutes. In the meantime, let me go ahead and check the security groups. In case if the IP address of my system gets changed, I can go ahead and update so that I will be in a position to log in using the PuTTY console. So within the security group, inbound details, let me go ahead and edit. Let me use my IP over here. So automatically it will choose my IP and save the routes. Let me get back to the EC2 instance dashboard. This is the instance that we started. Let me copy the public DNS and I can log in using the PuTTY console. Let me get into the PuTTY console, load the session, copy the DNS name and data. The username I will be using as Ubuntu, and within SSH auth tab, I will be using the private key over here. Let me open the session. I'm into the session that we had started. To make sure the Docker is running, I can use the command docker info. So we do have the information on the version of Docker running in this specific machine. That means the installation that we did, it's working fine, and automatically it would have generated the key as a part of etc docker folder. We can check that using the command sudo cat docker key.gen. So whenever I'm creating a new instance, a new key file will get generated as we had deleted while creating the image. As we discussed in the earlier session, with the AMI we created an instance. So this is the instance that we had created, and in the same instance I am going to install UCP, Universal Control Plane, and it's nothing but it's another Docker. So I'm going to pull that image and run the image with the required configuration details. Let me go ahead and pull the image. So I'll use the command docker image pull docker/UCP and the version. The image is pulled. Now I need to collect the IP address and the other details and build the command. Let me go ahead and do that. So this is the command I'm going to use. I'm going to run this particular image and I'm going to mention the ports for the SWAM, the IP address where it is going to get installed. So this is the private IP address of the machine where I'm going to do the installation. Let me go ahead and grab the private IP address. So this is the private IP, and I need the private DNS. Let me copy the private DNS, and I need to add the public IP and public DNS. Let me copy the public IP and public DNS. This is the public DNS and public IP. So it's going to add all these IP address as a part of the DNS built in within the Docker Enterprise, so that I can communicate any of this DNS or IP address. And the basic installation will be done using this particular host IP address. Let me copy this particular command, and I'm going to use the username admin and password as admin1234. This is going to take a couple of minutes. And in case if I wanted to add any other aliases along with this specific DNS, I can go ahead and add. As of now, I am skipping and proceeding with the installation. So it's going to pull all the required images and it will start the container. The installation is done. Now let me go ahead and access the UCP. I will be using this particular DNS, that is the public DNS. And before that, I need to open the ports for my IP address so that I can access. For easier control, I'm going to go ahead and add all the ports for my IP address. And don't open for everyone for security reasons. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and enable all the range of ports for my IP address. So I'm going to add a rule, all TCP for my IP address. Now let me go ahead and access the port 80. Now let me go ahead and access this particular DNS. I need to explicitly mention HTTPS, and since I do not have a valid key and it is a self-generated key, it's going to provide this particular warning. Let me go ahead and skip this warning, get into advanced and proceed to this particular link. Even though it gives it's unsafe, I know this is the server that I am running. So I'm going to get into this particular server in the HTTPS protocol. So that's going to get me the login page of Docker Enterprise. Let me provide the user ID and password that I provided as a part of the installation command, that is admin1234. And it will ask me to upload the license. I can get the license from the Docker Hub. You can request 1 month free license from Docker Hub. Here within your account, you can get into my content and get the keys downloaded. Here you can get into the setup option and get your keys downloaded. Once the key is downloaded, you can upload over here. Let me upload the key. Here I do have the key. I'm going to open the key and upload. And using the trial license, you will be in a position to install up to 10 nodes. Now I do have the UCP plane, and as a part of the shared resources, if I get into the nodes, I will have the list of nodes, as I do have only one node that is selected as a manager or the leader. In case if I wanted, I can add more nodes and make them as a manager or worker. That's going to be a next lecture on how to add more nodes into this particular cluster. So in a quick summary, we had seen how to install UCP by starting an instance from the image that we had created, and what are all the steps and procedures to upload the key and get the UCP started.